desert is beautiful in the day, but at night, it can feel lonely. The wind moves softly across the sand. The sky stretches wide and endless. And under that big sky stood a small tent in the land of Canaan. Inside that tent lived a man named Abram. He was strong once. He had traveled far. He had obeyed God when God told him to leave his father's house. But now he was 75 years old. And there was one thing he did not have: a child. His wife Sarai was 65. She had waited for many years. Every year she hoped. Every year she was disappointed. Time is kind to no one. Wrinkles had come. Strength had reduced. And the dream of holding a baby of their own was slowly dying. That night, Abram could not sleep. He stepped outside the tent. The air was cool. The moon was bright. The stars filled the sky like countless shining diamonds. He looked up and sighed. "Lord," he whispered, "you have blessed me with wealth, with servants, with cattle, but I have no son. Who will inherit all this?" Silence. Then suddenly, God spoke. "Abram." His heart skipped. "Look at the sky. Count the stars if you can." Abram tried. But there were too many. "They are beyond number," he said softly. "So shall your descendants be," God replied. "They will be as many as the stars." Abram's heart trembled. Descendants? Many? How? He was old. Sarai was old. Her womb had been closed for years. "Lord," Abram said honestly, "I have no child. How can this happen?" "Trust me," God answered. "I am your shield. Your reward will be very great." That night, something changed inside Abram. He did not see the child. He did not see the future. He only saw stars. But he chose to believe. And that belief was counted as righteousness. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. Every time Sarai felt sick, she wondered. Every time nothing happened, she felt the pain again. People around them had children. Their servants had children. Even strangers had children. But Sarai's arms were empty. One evening she sat quietly, watching children play outside another tent. She turned to Abram. "God promised you many descendants," she said. "But look at me. I have given you nothing." Abram looked at her with kindness, but he had no answer. Waiting is easy in the beginning. But after years, waiting becomes heavy. Still, Abram held on to the promise of that night. He would step outside often, look at the stars, and remember the voice. As many as the stars. Sometimes faith feels strong. Sometimes it feels thin. But Abram kept believing. Even when nothing changed. Even when Sarai cried quietly at night. Even when their bodies reminded them that time was not on their side. The desert remained the same. The tent remained the same. Their age kept increasing. But one thing refused to die. The promise. And deep inside, Abram held on to it like a man holding water in the middle of a dry land. He did not know how. He did not know when. But he believed. And that belief would soon be tested. Waiting can change a person. At first, Sarai was patient. She told herself, God will do it. She smiled when Abram spoke about the promise. But as the years passed, that smile became harder to keep. Every morning she woke up in the same tent. Every evening she laid down with the same empty feeling. No child. No cry of a baby. No small feet running around. The promise felt far away. One day, Sarai spoke with a tired voice. Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Maybe the promise will not come through me. Abram listened quietly. I have a maid, Sarai continued. Her name is Hagar. She is young, she is strong. Go to her. Maybe I can build a family through her. It was not an easy suggestion. But desperation can make people accept things they never imagined. Abram agreed. Hagar became his wife, and soon she became pregnant. At first, Sarai felt relief. Finally, something was happening. Finally, there would be a child in the house. But peace did not stay long. As Hagar's belly grew, something else grew too. Pride in Hagar's heart. Jealousy in Sarai's heart. Sarai began to notice small things. The way Hagar walked. The way she looked at her. The way the servants whispered. She is the one carrying the child, Sarai thought. And I am the barren one. Jealousy is quiet at first. Then it becomes loud. Soon Sarai's heart was filled with anger. She began to treat Hagar harshly. Words became sharp. Instructions became cruel. The tent became heavy with tension. Hagar felt the change. She felt unwanted. She felt hated. One day, she could not take it anymore. Pregnant and afraid, she ran away into the wilderness. The desert is not kind to a lonely woman. The sun burned her skin. The wind carried dust into her eyes. Her heart was full of fear. She found a well and sat beside it. And she cried. Far from the tent. Far from Abram. Far from Sarai. But not far from God. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared to her. Hagar, where have you come from, and where are you going? I am running away from my mistress, she replied. The angel's voice was firm but gentle. Return to her. Submit yourself. I will multiply your descendants greatly. You are carrying a son. You will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your suffering. The Lord has heard. Those words touched her heart. Even in the wilderness, God saw her. Even in her pain, God heard her. She was not forgotten. With new strength, Hagar returned. In time, she gave birth to a son. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. For a moment, it seemed like the promise had been fulfilled. There was finally a child in the tent. But deep down, something felt incomplete. This child came from human planning. From impatience. From pressure. Not from the miracle God had spoken under the stars. The waiting was not over. The real promise was still on the way. And God was about to speak again. 13 years passed. 13 long, quiet years. Ishmael was growing fast. He laughed. He ran. He called Abram father. And Abram loved him. Maybe this was the promise, he thought. Maybe this was how God planned to do it. But deep inside, the voice from the night of the stars still echoed. As many as the stars. Abram was now 99 years old. His hair was white. His steps were slower. His body felt the weight of time. One day, God appeared to him again. I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you. Abram fell face down. Then God said something that changed everything. You will no longer be called Abram. Your name shall be Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. A new name. A new identity. Not just Abram, exalted father, but Abraham, father of many. God was not finished. As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her Sarai anymore. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and she will give you a son. A son? Through Sarah? At her age? Abraham was shocked. He fell on his face again, but this time he laughed. Will a son be born to a man who is 100 years old? Will Sarah give birth at 90? It sounded impossible. Still, God's voice was steady. Sarah will bear you a son. You will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him. Isaac. Which means laughter. God was turning their doubt into a sign. Time passed again. One hot afternoon, Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent. Suddenly, he saw 3 men standing nearby. Something about them was different. He ran to greet them. My lord, please stay. Let me bring water for your feet. Let me prepare food for you. Hospitality was important to him. While they ate, one of them spoke. I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife shall have a son. Inside the tent, Sarah was listening. She heard every word, and she laughed quietly to herself. I am worn out. My husband is old. How can I enjoy this blessing now? Then the Lord asked Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Sarah was afraid. I did not laugh, she said. But she had. Because hope, after many disappointments, can feel dangerous. Months went by, and something began to change. Sarah felt different. Her body, which had been silent for decades, was now alive. Her stomach began to grow. People whispered. Some doubted. Some watched carefully. Then, just as God had said, Sarah gave birth to a son. Abraham was 100 years old. Sarah was 90. And in their old tent, a baby cried. Tears of sorrow were replaced with tears of joy. They named him Isaac. Laughter filled the house. The promise under the stars had finally become flesh. But faith that receives a promise must also face a test. And the greatest test was still ahead. Isaac grew. He was not just a child. He was the promise. The miracle. The proof that God keeps his word. Every time Abraham looked at him, he remembered the stars. Every time Sarah held him, she remembered her laughter. Life finally felt complete. Then one morning, everything changed. Abraham. The voice was clear. Yes, Lord. Take your son. Your only son. The one you love, Isaac. Go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering. Silence filled the air. This was the son God promised. The son they waited for. The son born from a miracle. Now, God was asking for him back? Abraham did not argue. He did not question. He did not delay. Early the next morning, he rose. He cut the wood. He packed the fire. He took 2 servants and Isaac. The journey lasted 3 days. 3 long days of walking. 3 days of thinking. 3 days of carrying a heavy secret. When they saw the mountain from afar, Abraham told the servants, "Stay here. The boy and I will go up and worship. Then we will come back." We will come back. Even in pain, his faith spoke. Isaac carried the wood on his back. Abraham carried the knife in the fire. As they walked, Isaac broke the silence. "Father?" "Yes, my son. We have the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for the offering?" Abraham's heart felt like it was breaking, but his voice remained calm. "God will provide the lamb, my son." They reached the place. Abraham built an altar. He arranged the wood carefully. With trembling hands, he tied Isaac. The boy did not fight. Maybe he trusted his father. Maybe he trusted God. Abraham laid him on the altar. Tears filled his eyes. He lifted the knife. Just as he was about to strike, "Abraham! Abraham!" The voice came from heaven. "Here I am." "Do not lay your hand on the boy. Do not harm him. Now I know that you fear God because you have not withheld your son from me." Abraham stopped. His body shook with relief. He looked up. There, caught in a bush by its horns, was a ram. God had provided. Just as Abraham said. He offered the ram instead of his son. On that mountain, Abraham learned something deeper than before. God tests faith. But he also provides. The promise was never meant to be destroyed. It was meant to prove his trust. And from that day, the story of Abraham and Isaac became a story for generations. A story of obedience. A story of surrender. A story that teaches us this: when God gives you a promise, hold it. When he tests you, trust him. Because the same God who asks is the same God who provides